So, starting off with the reunion, you and Curt Smith recently got back together, and the new Tears for Fears album is on the way. How's that shaping up?
How's it shaping up?
Well,
it's been lots of stops and starts, simply because he lives in Los Angeles.
Right. Have you been over there recording?
Yeah, I mean, we started off, I went over there, he came over here, I went over there, but he's got 2 young daughters. In fact, one is, the youngest is not even 1 year old yet.
Right.
And so we've kind of settled on me sort of going over there. And I'm due to go mid-February for about 4 months to finish it all off. But we're doing it in, someone's house, in their sort of garage. It's a lot more relaxed, it's a lot more fun, and it's a lot cheaper. Because we're sort of renowned for spending God knows how much money making records. So.
What was the catalyst for you both to start talking again? And was it a case of sort of putting aside the personal differences that contributed to the split up, I think, about 10 years ago?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was obviously a lot of water under the bridge by the time we actually started talking together. But, you see, we'd always had ongoing business commitments and mutual friends. So we couldn't quite sort of separate totally. And I had to do something for him, some sign off on some piece of paper or something, and he sent me a fax saying, thanks a lot, I don't have your number or something, or words to that effect, and give me a call. And I thought, oh God, do I? So what I did, I faxed him back my home number, and then he rang up the next day, which was very strange.
Right.
Very strange indeed. But as I said, we got mutual friends, and the next time he was in the country, we got together, had a meal, and realised that we was both sort of grown up, and all the sort of angst and differences had evaporated.
It's all water under the bridge.
Yeah.
Now, since you've been working together again, does it sort of feel like the old days?
No, not really, no, because I think when you're young and starting off, you have all these dreams and ambitions, and you're not quite sure exactly what you're going to achieve. And it's all a fantastic journey. Now we're obviously, a lot older and a lot more sort of settled, a bit more cynical, and it doesn't feel like it was at all. We don't feel like we're trying to establish ourselves or anything like that, or make a breakthrough. We don't feel like that. We feel like this is what's the word?
New beginning?
Not a new beginning. Just kind of like a nice way of ending it all.
You did a couple of Tears for Fears albums on your own.
Yep.
Had you missed working with Curt as someone to bounce songwriting and that off?
No, because see, one of the reasons we split in the first place was because we weren't communicating, and so I wasn't bouncing ideas off him. I was merrily going on my way and doing exactly what I wanted to do in the end. And so, therefore, it was quite simple working without him. But, you see, the thing is, the problem, I think I pursued my own artistic ambitions. And that led me away from writing sort of big hits with catchy melodies because I wasn't interested in it. Getting back with him, he's not interested in something that doesn't stick in his brain, and he's forced me in many ways to write very strong melodic songs.
So he sort of brings in the pop sensibilities?
Yes, he does, yeah.
Right, okay. And was it easy to sort of slip back into writing songs together?
Well, the thing is, when we were together in the first place, I did the bulk of the writing pretty much on my own. However, now, we're all, myself, Curt, and a guy called Charlton Peters, all sit together in a room and with acoustic guitars, and it's very, very dull. But when you make a breakthrough, it's a song which has sort of sound structures. You see what I'm saying?
So what can fans expect from the new material?
Well, I think there's no great soul searching like the old days. It's just very strong melodic pop music with obviously a lot of maturity. And
does it sound like sort of classic Tears for Fears updated for the 21st century?
Some people say that, yeah. Some people who've heard it, record companies identify the sound immediately as something highly recognisable. But I think it's kind of got very classic structures as well. So there's lots of guitar and a kind of familiarity to it that's not really 80s based. It's more goes back further than that.
Are the arrangements as progressive as some of the songs on The Hurting?
No, we've been trying specifically not to be too lengthy in the arrangements. We've actually tried to keep it succinct.
Okay. Can you reveal any of the song titles?
Yeah. Call Me Mellow, and Who Killed Tangerine, and Killing with Kindness. Goes on and on, really. And
would you say that you were as excited about this material as you have been about the previous stuff you've worked on together?
Yes, no, I feel very strongly about it. We actually have an album title as well, if you're interested. It's called Everybody Loves a Happy Ending.
So you've recently signed a deal with Arista Records.
Yeah.
What made you decide on them, and is there a release date for the new album?
Well, we had a few meetings with people, and there wasn't a lot of difference in terms of what people were offering us deal-wise. We picked Arista BMG simply because that would be a fresh start record company-wise. Simply because there are 5 major companies, and we'd been with Universal through Mercury before. So if we'd gone back to them, anyone in Universal, we would have been dealing with a lot of the old people. I was signed to Sony for one album, so in terms of a fresh start, there weren't a lot of options. BMG Arista have a very strong base in Europe and America, and some of the other companies didn't. And the guy that signed us, L.A. Reid, has got strong pop sensibilities. He's really interested in hits.
He's done the stuff with Babyface.
That's right. Yeah. And he also signed what's her name? Avril Lavigne. So he's got a very strong top 40 sense, and I think he's keen that we make that kind of record again, and not just something that's arty.
And it's not something that's just going to appeal to the fans, it will actually bring you new fans.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, apart from your solo record, Tomcat Screaming Outside,
yes,
what have you personally been up to in the intervening years since the last...
I've produced, apart from the Tears albums, and Tomcats, I produced a girl called Emiliana Torini. She's from Iceland, she's a singer, and it's on Bjork's label. So we did that, and that's a lovely album. Very happy with that. And I've actually been doing this Tears thing for 2 years now, believe it or not, on and off.
What, the actual reunion, as it were?
Yeah.
What do you think of the current state of the music scene?
Well, it's hard for me to criticise because I'm in my 40s now. I'm 41, and it's like that kind of music is not for me. It's not made for me. It's made for younger people. And likewise, there's some great stuff out there. I love Coldplay and a lot of bands, but don't particularly. I listen to Top of the Pops, and I just don't get it.
Did you not find that when you were sort of into his fizz at the time with the sort of the pop stuff that was going around then?
Well, I sort of lost interest in the pop stuff in my mid-20s when we kind of became the market, if you see what I'm saying. I lost interest and started listening to sort of, just excellent artists.
And what do you think of the current trend for 80s bands to get back together and go out on the reunion circuit?
Well, it's been threatening, hasn't it, for a long time. We've been asked for years to sort of get back together and do one of these horrible reunion tours, but we've always refused because we don't really, we never felt part of, a lot of those, we never felt like we were like a lot of those bands at the time. We felt we were sort of being a little more creative, and therefore we wouldn't want to be lumped in with them now.
Well, I think a lot of that stuff was more sort of throwaway school disco stuff, wasn't it, really, rather than your material?
Yeah.
Have you heard some of the recent Tears for Fears cover versions, such as the metal band Disturbed's cover of Shout, and Gary Jules' take on Mad World featuring Donnie Darko?
Yes.
And what do you think of those?
Well, I had to sign off on the Disturbed song because they actually changed the lyrics. So whenever anyone changes something, they have to ask permission to actually cover it. And I liked it. I mean, I always wondered how you could do Shout without all those sort of that rich arrangement, and they managed to do it, and they did it well, and it sounded quite convincing. The Gary Jules Mad World, I much prefer to our own.
Really?
To be honest with you, I just think it's amazing, and it's so strange. I wrote that song when I was 18, and it was when I really identified with children as being victims, and and that kind of stuff. Now I'm a parent. I don't quite see it that way. And the funny thing is that my youngest son, who's 8, who's a pretty good singer himself, quickly learned the song, the Mad World lyrics, and to the Gary Jules version. He'd never heard us. And it was amazing to see this little child sing back to me the lyrics that I wrote so long ago.
And how did you feel about how the song and Head Over Heels were used in the film?
Well, it's superb. I mean, it's very flattering for me.
Okay. So how does it feel to have contemporary artists such as Billy Corgan, Manson and Wyclef Jean cite the band as an influence?
Well, again, I mean, I always say the mind boggles, because I could never hear any influence in anyone's music, but it's very flattering.
Does it annoy you that the song you're best known for, arguably best known for, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, is probably the best known, rather than one of the band's less poppy commercial tracks?
Yeah, it's really funny, because I would say that was true to some degree, but there was recently a poll on one of the radio stations in London, and they were playing off one of our tracks against the other, and it was playing off Mad World against Shout, and it was Mad World that had won.
Really?
So it's interesting. I think over time that maybe the lesser known tracks become more legendary.
What do you think have been some of the highlights of your career so far?
Well, lots of things really. I mean, generally specific songs where I think that is fantastic. I mean, when we finished Woman in Chains on the Seeds of Love album, I thought, Jesus Christ, I was really, really in love with it. There have been other times, like playing certain gigs. I remember being on the tour promoting Roland and the Kings of Spain, walking on stage in Salt Lake City. It's about 3,000 seater, very classical auditorium, and most of the people between, I guess, the ages of 25 and 40, and they were screaming so loud that it was just breathtaking. And I really thought that maybe Elvis had just walked on or something. It really was. I thought, this is a memory I will take with me to the grave. It's incredible.
What about getting the #1 album in America?
Well, the problem with that was, we were being worked so hard that it all seemed. I think had I been sat at home watching the TV on the sofa, I would have been very chuffed. But we were working non-stop on tour, so I didn't quite get it. Didn't sink in.
So it's just sort of passed you by, is it?
Totally, yeah.
You mentioned a minute ago, Woman's in Chains means a lot to you.
Yeah.
What of the other songs you've written have meant the most to you, and why?
Well, I love the whole Raoul album, for me, because I'd always been struggling to write a complete album, not just an album with hit singles, but something that worked lyrically from start to finish. So I particularly like things like Los Reyes Católicos and the actual song Raoul and the Kings of Spain as well.
Now, Curt lives in LA,
Yep.
But you still reside near your hometown of Bath.
Yep.
Is it important for you to stay close to your roots?
Well, it's one of those things that you choose to do, isn't it? That they're very, very, very subconscious choices. So I guess the answer is yes, because I love the countryside, absolutely love the greenness of everything. LA is like fun, but it's for a little while. But there's a certain lack of culture you feel, And I guess I guess there's a side of me that feels absolutely ordinary, and like going into Sainsbury's and stuff like that.
Keeps you grounded.
Yeah, and just driving around feeling, insignificant. It's wonderful.
Okay, I've just got one last question.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to the many Tears for Fears fans around the world who are eagerly awaiting the new album?
Well, it'll certainly be worth the wait.
Welcome back to Running Late here on 88.3 FM The Sting. I'm very honored to have a great duo on the phone. For the first time in 14 years, they've decided to do a record together called Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. It certainly is a storybook-inspired title after some trials and tribulations, both on a personal level and in the business world of the record industry. Welcome back to the scene here in Cleveland. Tears for Fears. Roland and Curt, are you there?
We are indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm very happy to have you guys back on the scene and getting ready to release this new record. Why don't we just go with the current stuff first? How did this record come about? I mean, you guys hadn't worked together for about close to 15 years, I think, if I have the math right.
Yeah, well, we were both doing, for over a decade, pretty much exactly what we wanted to do musically. We just we did a lot of sort of solo records and felt that it was time to really, be part of a group again. And we started speaking to each other, finally, and it just seemed quite natural that we would just sort of share musical ideas and eventually start making demos. And once we arrived at the song Closest Thing to Heaven, we realized that there was something that was going on between us again.
That sounds almost too good to be true, the way things kind of came together. I went back and listened to your individual solo work, and it seemed to me that, some of the dichotomy there where one was more acoustic, the other one was more electronic, started to merge just ahead of this project. Does that seem right to you?
Well, I think what we did specifically on this album, I was relocated to Los Angeles. Curt had been living there for a little while, and he'd been working with a guy called Charlton Pettus. And it was in Charlton's studio that we put the whole thing together. So all the instruments in the studio that he had, like mellotrons, Wurlitz, the piano, Fender Rhodes, Hammond organ, all the very organic instruments, were really what created the direction of the album.
That makes a lot of sense, and it certainly does come across from the parts of the record that I've found as a continuation in sorts to where you guys left off as a duo version of the band back in 1990. Curt, would you agree with that?
My phone's ringing.
It always works this way.
I know. It's exactly like that, isn't it?
Go ahead and take it. We'll edit. No big deal.
Okay, ignore that, even though it's my wife. See that? I'm ignoring my wife here.
Oh, no.
Sorry, what was the question again?
I was just going to say, it certainly does seem like, and a lot of people have said this to me, but I certainly sense it within the record, that this feels like a continuation of where the Seeds of Love left off.
Yeah, in a lot of ways I think that's true. I think, the simple fact is that this is the first record we've done together since the Seeds of Love, so in that sense it's going to be a natural progression from there as opposed to a progression from what we do as solo artists. So, this is the kind of, when you get into the studio, you've got to come to some agreement as to what it is you want to do and you want to achieve, and both of you have to like it. And, the records we do together obviously are the things that we both like, so they're going to, this is obviously a natural progression from Seeds of Love, because that's the last thing we did together.
Let me ask you about a little bit of the craft, because so much of your songs kind of go through stages. If I go back a little further in the catalog, Broken began as a B-side and later evolved into an actual album track. What is that kind of process right now, and has it changed since the first edition and now this, continuation of the lineup?
Yeah, it's completely different, this record. The way we wrote this record was completely different. I think in the old days, the songs were very hard to come by. It was really like trying to get blood out of a stone, trying to get more than 8 songs to make a record. This time, when we got together, myself, Curt and Charlton, we actually found we had far more songs than we really needed for the record. And the way we sat round and did it was just with acoustic guitars and an upright piano, strumming away all the cliched chords that you know, until eventually something just comes in through an open window and hits you.
There was a lot of sitting around waiting for inspiration, which in itself can be a little frustrating, but the end result is great. I mean, basically everything lived or died on how strong the song was as opposed to how strong the production was.
Now, I know the record kind of hit a snag with the closing of Arista in all sense and purposes, and so you've moved labels and things around. I think everything's kind of being put slightly back if I had the original timetable.
Yep.
So now that you are planning on touring behind this record, probably at the end of this year.
Yeah, October is when we're due to start touring.
What are you planning on bringing back some of the old band members on this, or just continuing with throwing in new people into the mix?
Well, we're going to use Charlton Pettus, who co-wrote and co-produced the album. We've got a drummer called Nick DiVigilio, who I've toured with before, and we'll see how it goes from there.
That's the same guy that drummed with Genesis, right?
Yeah, keep that quiet.
Well, there's nothing. No.
And the guy that drummed with Genesis and the guy that wrote for Hilary Duff. Oh no!
I won't tell anyone. I won't tell a word. That's amazing. One person did definitely ask me to ask if there was any chance of any future collaboration with the wonderful Alita Adams. Is that in the cards by any chance?
Well, it's not. I mean, I've sort of kept in touch with her, but she's been doing very much got back into gospel music. And so I guess until we actually
see the light
or drive through the city in which she's now living, I can't see it happening.
Okay. Well, it certainly was wonderful music with her back in the day, and very enjoyable for my first time seeing Tears for Fears back in...
and also the work with Alita was very song-specific. I mean, those two songs, when they were written, we had in mind that they needed a female vocalist, and until you write another song that really requires a female vocalist, obviously you're not going to look outside the band members.
That seems legitimate. Very cool. Well, I'm very excited to see this all come together. And back almost 3 years ago, when there were little inklings that this was a possibility, I think I was the first to rush on air and say, "Listen, keep your eyes out. No, you're never going to believe it if I told you, but here it is." And so it's wonderful to have this in my hand. Closest thing to having the first single, look out for "Call Me Mellow" and a couple other songs from Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. Tears for Fears, hopefully coming to Cleveland. Yes?
Yeah.
In October.
Hello, Cleveland.
And we look forward to having them here. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And your chance to win. And right now we're joined by some very special guests. You guys just played upstairs at Fisher Plaza. It is Roland and Curt from Tears for Fears. I never thought I'd say those two words together again. And you know how excited I am about that?
Which two words?
Roland and Curt from
That's
Tears for Fears. Well, it's so great to have you guys back together.
Thank you.
It's, I went to this website, and it's a little survey, a TFF survey, Tears for Fears survey. The number one thing people want you to do is tour.
Yeah,
is that going to happen?
Well, we hope so.
You hope so?
Yeah.
We'd like to do it in the summer if we can, but we're doing things slowly. We're taking it one step at a time.
I think you should do backyards like mine.
Yeah.
You should tour backyards.
Apparently you have a very nice backyard.
It's very nice.
It's a dump.
It's a dump.
So how long has it been since you guys got back together? How long has it been to put this current album that you're going to release?
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years?
Yeah. But we were doing it very sporadically because of the geography of where we live and all that kind of stuff. Curt lives in a cave. I live at the top of a very, very high mountain. But seriously, no, I was in UK and Curt was in Los Angeles, so it involved a lot of transatlantic flying for us to actually get it together.
You live in a cave? I thought you lived in New York.
I do. I'm actually a very well-known recluse, apart from being a gay icon. But,
really?
Yeah.
What does your wife think of that?
She's fine with it, actually.
She is?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
When you say she...
Well,
Yeah, what exactly do you mean?
one of them, they're always called
It's so
she.
nice. It's so nice of you to refer to him like that.
Well, we had somebody who called in who went to the show, so we want to talk to her for a second. Hello, what did you think?
They were so good.
Now, you're the person who actually has Tears for Fears posters in your bedroom, and you're an adult.
That's right. I actually have it on my keychain, too. I've had it on there since, I guess it was 93.
Wow. So you're a diehard fan.
Oh, God. My husband just is, as they're leaving, he's just like, my God, they are just so phenomenal together. It's unbelievable. And I just really wanted a chance to tell them, so you can tell them for us, this new album just sounds really good.
It sounds
Thank
like
you.
it's going to be great. When is it coming out?
April the 6th.
April 6th here in the States, right?
Yes, April 6th. Well, April 6th pretty much everywhere. I think it's one day is different in Europe. I think it's like April 5th.
And everybody loves a happy ending. That's the name of it.
That's true.
Yep.
Don't you think?
I think so. And you said that's your favorite song, the title track off the CD, right?
Yeah, I like that one. I like a lot of them.
I like the title. I think that's great. Now, I wanted to ask you guys something. I know when you got together, you were kind of juvenile delinquents, got in trouble, went through primal scream therapy, or that's how you kind of got to know each other. Do you still do that? Do you?
No, that's not quite true. But
Oh, it's not? It's
nearly-
that
it's
on all
nearly
your
correct.
bios.
I was
Yeah,
never
yeah.
a delinquent.
You were.
No.
That was Kurt.
It was, well, you have to split that in two, because I was the delinquent and Roland was the one that went through primal therapy, so they, you know.
Yeah.
So it's...
I was actually a good boy at school. I sat at the front of the class, did my homework,
I'm
and
sure you
everyone
did.
else's.
Wow.
Yep.
And what was your delinquencies? Come on, give us some dirt.
What was the worst thing you did?
what was the worst thing I'd done? I have no idea.
Too numerous to mention.
Too numerous, I feel. I mean, throwing someone down a flight of concrete stairs was not a good
Ow.
one. but,
No,
you know.
that's not very
Really?
nice.
I feel that was
I'm
the
not gonna buy
first
any of your
time.
albums.
I think the first time I met Roland, I was grounded because of that one. I think.
Yep.
Wow. Well, there is a song that was written by Roland, as a matter of fact, that's big in the UK right now. I'm going to play a little bit of a clip from it, and I want to ask you about it.
And I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you. I find it hard to take. The people run in circles. It's a very, very bad world.
There you go. It's Michael Andrews and Gary Jules, and he's just burning up the charts in the UK with that song.
That's Roland's phone.
I felt some vibration going, and I thought, what is that?
Turn your cell phone off, mate.
Turn your cell phone off.
So what I thought was interesting is I looked at the back cover of this Mad World CD, and it says, the best American singer-songwriter to emerge out of the late 90s. You wrote the song, didn't you, Roland? Mad World?
I did indeed.
Well, that's kind of strange then.
Oh, Gary is claiming, or Michael Andrews, and those are the...
Yeah,
I see.
singer-songwriter, so...
I see what you're saying. Well, they are still very good.
We're on air, live on air, doing an interview.
He's answering.
He's now talking. Who are you talking to?
Talk to you later.
Well, I do want to play the
It was
song.
your mom?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. I wish we could have talked to her. I would like to
What time
know
is it?
if you really were
She's
there.
not now.
She's in Australia, right?
Sorry, Mad World.
That's okay.
Love that song.
We're past that. I love that song, too. One of my very favorite songs.
It's
We're going to
beautiful.
play the new song from the CD, though, and the CD is out on April
6th, the album, yes.
Yes.
Everybody Loves a Happy Ending, April 6th.
All right, Tears for Fears on Star 101.5. Star 101.5, Tears for Fears, and the closest things to heaven. Give me that woo one more time, because that was good. Woo! There we go. It's Roland and Curt from Tears for Fears.
That's enough.
Sorry, that's
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a button here. I press
There-
it. Press this button.
Don't touch that button.
Don't.
But
There you go.
Like, it keeps happening over and over again. Now, we did have somebody else who went to the show, and they wanted to let you know how they felt about it. What did you think?
Just a tremendous event you guys put on, so I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to be in there and just say great job. And it was,
What was your favorite part, Tears for Fears or the baked beans?
oh, that's a tough one. I got to go with Tears for Fears on that.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We do want to thank Longhorn Barbecue for bringing the baked beans and the meat. And
well, I don't
The
know.
buns
We
and-
got to spend time in a confined space right now, so I'm not sure that I'm going to be thanking anyone for the beans.
I think we should probably wrap this up pretty
I'm
soon.
flattered.
Tears for Fears, the new album comes out on April 6th. It's Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. Does that mean anything? Does this mean the end?
Not necessarily. It's certainly a better ending than, The Seeds of Love was, I think.
Right.
It was a title that Roland came up with that I loved. I just thought it was humorous and full of irony as well. And, it can also mean the start of something new,
Right.
But, we'll see. Only time will tell.
Speaking of sowing the seeds of love, there's a line in there that says, the DJ's the man I love the most. Well, because I'm a DJ, I always
Yeah.
love that, but that's not what it's about, is it?
No, it's Dr. Janov.
Oh, there you go. Back to the primal scream therapy
you are
again.
so
Joking.
You're so lying.
Joking.
Was
But
it
don't
a-
you think?
DJ, yeah,
Don't you think DJ's the man I love the most is a little sexist?
I think so.
Don't you feel?
Well, you
Yeah.
know, back in that day,
No, but
they
it
were
was a
mostly men.
reference to the man.
Oh,
Like,
the man,
You
like-
the man.
You
the
the
man.
man.
Not, it wasn't, I wasn't
Mankind.
being sexy.
All right, thanks for stopping by, you guys. It's Tears for Fears. We're waiting for the new album coming out very soon on Star 101.5. Let's check time saver traffic.
I wouldn't mind, but she just turned up on the doorstep, wistful and ashen, slightly bedraggled. Last time I saw her, she was howling at the moon, roaming the forest, lupine and rabbit. Whoa, is she wild? Does she seem my inner child? But then she knows it's like a curse to find our chosen roles reversed, to unify my universe, to call me mellow. If only I was half my age and she was older, we'd live on ice cream on Coney Island. No, it's gravity that drags down my balloon. She stays in orbit way after midnight. Whoa, slip and slide. Does she go all dewy-eyed? But then she knows it's like a curse to find our chosen roles reversed, to unify my universe, to call me mellow. She'll dress down for us, she'll break new ground for us, watching me cracking up. She'll hang round fellas with all the ground swellers, driving me like a drug. But then she knows it's like a curse to find our chosen roles reversed, to unify my universe, to call me mellow. But then she knows it's like a curse to find our chosen roles reversed, to unify